This week, we're going to talk GIF search engines, drones, material science, and more. This is Blown Pixel.
And try again.
Welcome to this week's Blown Pixel, where Cody and myself talk about tech, startups, and culture. I'm T-Rave, and
I'm Cody Beasley. Hello, hello.
And we're actually joined by a close friend, Sir Chad Elliott, this week. Chad, why don't you give us a little bit bio of what you do in life?
God, life. That's such a big subject. Mostly programming, which I think is how you guys know me. And then a little bit of dancing, a little bit of extra tech on the side, and, same old spiel.
Also, he's a pretty cool guy. I'll vouch for him.
Pretty cool guy. Well, welcome as the first guest of Blown Pixel, Mr. Chad.
I'm excited.
You feel special, Chad?
I actually do feel really special. Like, it seems like since you've announced the show, a lot of people got really excited about it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I just like watching what they talk about, but now everyone's interested.
Well, we have a bandwagon, and of course we've loaded it up with, blankets to make you comfy as you ride along with us into right off a cliff. Right off the cliff.
It's a big cliff.
All right, so guys, what is going on in our respective neck in the woods? T-Rave, what's going on in Omaha?
So this week in Omaha, Nebraska, I mentioned this in last week's episode pretty poorly. Corn Stalks. It is an entrepreneur / startup event that highlights different startups and groups around the Omaha, Nebraska area. They are now on tour, and this week was their first startup that they visited, which happened to be Flywheel, my employer. So it was really awesome to see people of the startup entrepreneur space in Omaha, Nebraska. As someone newer to the area, seeing, meeting, hearing, what people have to say about, the startups and everything was very cool. And they're actually booked out for the next 6 months or so of places they're going to stop by. So that's exciting for me to, kind of understand and explore the scene, as I know the Kansas City scene quite well, get to now learn it through Corn Stalks up here in Omaha.
Okay, so, Kansas City, I just got back from the grand opening, at least the public opening of the new Think Big incubator, actually. So that's quite a nice space, right off of Main Street. And they've been a local co-working space and an incubator here for the last few years, and they've just recently moved into a new building in anticipation of both the streetcar and it's just really sexy digs. So a lot more units to take advantage of, better facilities. It looks wonderful, and they're doing a good job. So yeah,
very cool. Yeah, they've. I don't know, probably 8 months ago, maybe less, about 8-10 months ago, I heard that they're opening the new building. Glad it's finally open, and that's really cool for the Kansas City scene.
Totally. And this coming week, this next Thursday, first week of February, Functional, one of the little groups that I run, where we explore kind of craftsmanship and culture in Kansas City. We are having a little get-together at Thou Mayest from 6:30 to 9:30, and I've sent some emails and invitations out that we'll throw up here on the Blown Pixel Facebook page. You didn't get one, Chad?
I don't think I got one yet.
Well, obviously you didn't sign up for our newsletter.
Oh, shit. I think you're right. I follow the Facebook page. Isn't that enough?
Well, it's on there now, so clearly you just haven't been like refreshing the page, waiting for things to happen like I've expected.
I love hanging out at Dalmaist anyway, so maybe you can invite me and then uninvite me, and then I'll crash the party.
You are not the first person to ask that, which is weird. Actually, Andrew talked about that. One of our friends, Andrew, he's like, "Can you just not invite me so that I can crash it?" Apparently, there's way more novelty in crashing parties than actually like being invited to them. Well, that's all I have. Do you have anything else, guys?
Nothing notable. I mean, the problem is we live in the same city, so pretty much anything. It's your show, so you get to go first, and anything you mention is you've already covered all the cool stuff. So
Well, that's how it works. You can start your own podcast if you don't like it.
fair enough. And I'll probably upgrade the video equipment since this is looking pretty awful. But
That's okay. That's okay. You'll get a better camera. It'll be good. Okay, so right into the news, guys. The first thing on my list of things to talk about is Giphy, a 2-year-old search engine for GIFs, has just raised $17 million and has an $80 million dollar valuation. So I've used Giphy. I've used it for a long time. I know Chad loves it as well. T-Rave, have you used Giphy before?
Yeah. Before our team switched over to Slack to drop stuff into HipChat, we'd do a quick Giphy search. Been using the extension in Chrome for that.
I did not know there was an extension. Does it just find
it drops down and you can search real quick and then you can drag and drop.
Dude, that is amazing. That is amazing. So it's like every GIF need you'd ever have, which is pretty much everything. Because I know that I just speak in GIFs now. I don't even use human words anymore. But yeah, Giphy is amazing, and they have a great mobile experience as well. Why do you think it has an $80 million valuation, guys?
That blows my mind. As someone that's like, I didn't realize how easy it was to upload to Giphy. Like, you don't even need a login. And I think maybe that's part of it, is just the anonymous, like, content creation, I guess. Even though, like, some of the stuff's going to it will be copywritten material in a sense. Like, how does it come down in a moving photo form, I guess you can say. But, like, content-wise, like, a lot of people are using Giphy because they have that repository of GIFs. So
yeah,
maybe that's it. Like, maybe
right?
because of the eyeballs.
So here's the funny thing. It's interesting that you mentioned that you can sort of upload any GIF, because for like maybe a year there, you couldn't even upload a GIF. It was all curated content. They wouldn't even allow a consumer to sort of go in and add their own content. So it's interesting that they open that up to the public. But I think the real value is, like, if you look at services out there right now, Instagram is like the huge one that's gaining in popularity, at least amongst the younger crowd. It's all visually based. It's all content creation and sort of an aesthetic visual appeal that people latch onto. And GIFs have now sort of become like, Cody's a really great example. It's like his second language for communicating. So if you can harness that potential in a single source, like, that has an amazing capability to be sort of like the YouTube of GIFs, right? Like, YouTube became the central location for videos. Giphy is now where you go for GIFs. I mean, how could it be easier than that?
All right, so moving on, because I feel like I could talk about GIFs literally all day.
We really could.
It's really, really close to my heart.
Yeah, I'll jump into one of the stories that I find very intriguing, and that is DJI, which is a drone or an unmanned aerial vehicle that is commercially available, has implemented no-fly zones. So this is a drone that you can buy, a quadcopter. They've made no-fly zones, and they're going to actually prevent you from flying into these no-fly zones via GPS. And this actually comes after someone was like doing aerial shots across Washington, D.C., over some of the monuments and stuff. And finally, it ended up crashing past the security guards, Secret Service, at the White House.
Yep. I saw the tool on DJI, and people who have seen any kind of drones have probably seen this guy. It's the it's almost Apple-esque in its kind of I guess
It's sleek and sexy and
it's very iconic, I guess, for drones. It's white and it's got little red bands. Anyway, so the tool is very cool because it essentially shows you even a map. So I brought it up. It immediately drilled down to Kansas City, and I saw right at the airport there was a big no-fly zone. I think they've just automatically any airport done this.
No, that's the funny thing. I have the map up in front of me, and so in Omaha we have Ep3 Field, which is our airport. They have not marked that as a no-fly zone yet, but MCI in Kansas City has. I did the comparison. If we want to buy a DJI and fly it over an airfield, we have limited time. Get moving.
Yeah, so if you want stock, this may be like your only chance ever, at least aerial stock.
So, and it brings up a good thing because I'm also part of a AV private Facebook group, and that's how I originally found out about this. It's interesting because also sports venues, active sports venues should be considered as well, and they'll probably, really drill down. But this is the first, action that anyone has taken for commercially purchased unmanned vehicles, aerial vehicles, for shutting them down. And so I personally believe I am in agreement with this. As someone, we have little quadcopters in our office, and I'm terrible at flying them. But with the DJI, it actually has a camera, so you're like, okay, let me get this cool footage. But most people are not trained in any way, and it's grabbing a remote.
And you might not even know, right? So you might be close to a power plant or something, and not even know. So this is one of the major pieces of drone regulation is being able to keep it out of essentially restricted areas. So you've seen there's been a huge problem with national parks. Like Yosemite has characteristically been one of the big outspoken parties in saying, do not fly your drones in the park, but there's no real laws against it. And I think DJI is very smart to get ahead of this and start to craft examples that legislation can follow. They have a little more control over it. They certainly have the front of the market on this. I mean, it is a household name in these kind of hobbyist circles. So, I love that. I mean, it is a very good first step and seeing a complicated regulation process kind of refine itself.
Well, and I think even if you do develop policies, there's going to be people, I mean, who doesn't want to get an awesome shot of a national park? Who doesn't want to, get some crazy close-up of an airplane? The problem is it's where are those boundaries at? And you're going to have people, as these become more commonplace, start to stretch those boundaries and see how far they can push it. So, we're going to put regulations in place. I don't think that's really going to stop people. The idea of having sort of geofencing via GPS on the drone itself is definitely a huge step in the right direction to sort of safeguard this for the rest of us, because if people start doing illegal things with this, if accidents start happening because they fly into a plane, whatever, that's gonna put a lot of regulation on it, where you or me may not be able to buy one unless we're registered pilots.
All right, guys, so drones. Next thing on my list is Nickelodeon has decided to launch a standalone online streaming service for their content, which I love a lot of Nickelodeon shows, mainly The Legend of Korra most recently, and they've gotten a lot of shows, but as someone who doesn't buy cable services to watch it, I've kind of been left out, and I've had to watch them online for a while now. So I love seeing them roll out a service like this. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, you roll back, let's talk about Common Day, but it's been talked about for the last few years, is cable subscriptions suck. You're paying for hundreds of extra channels. You're never going to watch them, but then the ones you do want, then you're getting paid, you have to pay out the butt for them or whatever. And, HBO was one of the first to really take on original content. Showtime stars as well, getting in AMC with Walking Dead and, other series. And, it used to, I think the conversation used to be, well, I wish I could just cherry pick the channels that I could have and pay $5 a month per one. But where it's actually leading is where you're not like, that's not the battle. It's the battle of getting your network, your programming into original content that allows you to do whatever you want with it. And HBO is still kind of locked down to, you have to have a cable subscription to sign up for HBO Go. However, they're kind of like, hey, if you have someone's password, go for it. We don't care. Like, they've actually kind of taken that stance. And so this kind of stuff is awesome because it's now bringing the capability, if I have to pay $5 a month to access it via like an app or a website or whatever, it's becoming closer where I can ditch all that other junk in a cable subscription package that I really, really don't want. Reading Rainbow kind of did a revamp a year or two ago with just the content for LeVar Burton, and so that's cool as well, getting like even show level original content.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're used to, at this point, buying our content a la carte. And so there's a clear legacy model that a lot of these cable companies still use for content that, I've certainly found awful. It's just not in my purchasing habits. And the statistics show that, a significant minority, closer to majority now, of millennials, ages 18 to 34, have never paid for a cable service at all. Now, they're still getting content, whether they're pirating it or they're using competitive services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and so these other cable companies are realizing that they're going to miss the boat, or they've never even had a chance to be in front of a huge portion of the up and coming generation, simply because they're not playing by the same rules that everyone is now used to in that generation.
It's funny because I feel like video content is getting to the point where like Napster was with music, almost a decade ago, where basically you have this old school model where in terms of audio, like they were selling CDs, it was a very physical medium, even though video has always sort of been a digital medium. It's been a stream. You're essentially paying for a stream of things that you don't potentially use, right? And in my mind, that's similar to the concept of buying an album or buying a CD or buying a record when you only care about like 2 or 3 songs on there, right? So, I wonder if it sort of harkens to this model of where we started paying for individual songs. You started paying for. I mean, there is potential for a subscription in terms of like Spotify, where you pay for this access to the content, but you don't actually have any ownership of it. And I don't know. I think it presents an interesting view of how we consume video content that maybe is a little different or a little more skewed than what we're accustomed to, because now we're no longer tied to this sort of streaming medium that, if I don't sit down in front of the TV at 5 o'clock tonight, I'm going to miss my favorite program. Well, now that thing is digitally available at any point, at any time, from now to the future, as long as I'm willing to pay for it.
So the next thing on my list is
that was your list.
No, it's your turn.
Now my
it's your
list.
turn. Sorry, we talked too long.
Slack buys Screen Hero to add screen sharing and voice chat to its work messaging platform. That was announced by TechCrunch. Basically, the company Slack, it's an inner office chat program / not really inner office necessarily, but it's an enterprise collaboration service, as they call it, that raised $180 million. They say they have 365,000 users every day. It's awesome. And so they bought Screen Hero, which basically shares your screen and has audio capabilities with it. Slack has announced that they will basically fade out the Screen Hero portion of it. They've brought in the 6 people that made up that company. No actual dollar amount said how much they bought them for, but this excites me as someone that uses Slack every day. It was kind of hard for me to switch from HipChat that I'd been used to for 2 years or so, but Slack overall for business, just chatting with your company slash like kind of as a collaboration tool is stellar. I mean, Cody, you're familiar with Slack? Chad, do you use Slack at all?
No. What's interesting is I looked at Slack at one point, but that was outside of a project, and the current office that I'm working at uses Cisco Jabber. So anything that actually, again, you don't even have GIF support there. So what kind of chat system is that?
A terrible one. A terrible one.
How are you supposed to get any work done without GIFs? Come on.
And I don't understand how to communicate. So, anything that supports GIFs, all for it.
No, I have used Slack, and I love it. There's a small piece of Slack that reminds me of kind of the 90s chat rooms, where I kind of cut my teeth on the internet, that I kind of like, because it's more modern than that. It's got a lot of similarities to Asana and some of those other task management stuff, but Slack has a very clean look. It's quite colorful. It's very approachable, and it's got great integrations, like, of course, Giphy.
Everything.
Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is some material science stuff. Have you guys seen this Superhydrophobic Metal that they've created? They've etched it with lasers, and the pattern in the grooves at, I believe, a molecular level repels water almost absolutely.
That's just incredible to me. That they didn't actually put in another coating. There's not some extra force or magnetic, alignment of the atoms. Like, literally, it's just a texture in the material itself.
Well, it's absolutely amazing.
Well,
do you want to see
you're doing
this?
it with lasers, and unlike chemical treatments, laser etching can't be rubbed off. So, like, it's on there.
Yeah, let's take a look at this.
A couple of years ago, my lab created a technology that turns a variety of materials superhydrophilic. Superhydrophilic means it's actually attract water. We actually turn the surface hydrophilic to such a strong degree that water runs uphill against gravity. That technology can have many applications on its own. After that, we started to work on the counterpart technology, making a surface to repel water, or as we call it, hydrophobic. We have been working on creating superhydrophobic material, use a laser processing technique. What we'll see here is pretty interesting. The water falls towards the surface and is repelled and bounces off the surface. This is achieved by creating a unique pattern of surface structures at micro and nano scales with our laser processing technology. And those structures are intrinsically part of the material surface. Most of the hydrophobic surfaces.
So that's awesome, right? Who would have thought that you would be able to create tiny laser etchings at the nano level that would repel water like that?
I almost want someone to etch me to repel people I hate.
Okay, so that's all we have to, Rafe. Except for
well, I think we missed something. We missed something very important.
What did we miss? What do you think we missed?
In Elon we trust.
We forgot our Elon spot.
Us.
Okay, so do you want to handle this,
us.
or do you want me to handle?
So this is Tesla's first battery swap station in California is nearing complete, and from GigaOM, the author of this story, went down to check out this battery swap station, which is out of an old car wash. And basically what Tesla is trying to do here is, within a few minutes of you pulling in into an enclosed environment, they will swap out your battery to go the further 300 or so odd miles down the road instead of charging. At these stations as well, you'll have the supercharger, or whatever they're calling
it.
Basically,
it's something like 20-30 minutes to charge that thing, right?
Yep. The supercharger takes 20 to 30 minutes to get an additional 150 miles out of the battery.
It's time for show and tell.
Show and tell. All right, you want me to start?
Yes, do it right now.
All right, so this week we are going through and trying to figure out what we wanted to show and tell, and Cody and myself, as well as Chad, kind of came about like we should probably drink more on the show. Last week I had a glass in front of me, but because of my amazing editing, you would have no idea that I was drinking anything. But again, I'm doing it this week with Powers. Hopefully the camera focuses. No, that camera's too smart. But it's a Powers 12-year-old aged Irish whiskey, gold label, triple distilled. It's fantastic. If you are like me and like your Irish whiskeys, definitely try it out. It is a bit different than Jameson, which is my favorite Irish whiskey or hard liquor, if you will. And this is absolutely delightful.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw a nearly racist conclusion here right now. I am noticing that you are wearing green, you have stark red hair, and you love your Irish whiskey. Now, I'm not gonna explicitly say what I'm thinking, but I don't know. I think there may be some truth here.
Yes, man, bloodlines go deep. Yeah.
Yes. So, my show and tell here is, of course, Kansas City Pride. The Rieger itself. I feel like this camera is backwards, so maybe we can swap that. I don't know.
No, it's fine for us. Just
perfect,
for you.
Perfect.
Still forward, so...
Awesome. All right, so we've got Mr. Rieger. We have a wonderful kind of, I guess there's a cocktail bar, and then there's a speakeasy directly underneath it called Manifesto. And the top part of that, the actual cocktail piece, is called the Rieger Hotel, which has some historical pieces to it, but it's a great place. We at Functional go there, pretty frequently. But basically, this used to be a real whiskey back in the day. And when Prohibition hit, it basically stopped being produced. It lost itself to history. So the current owner of the Rieger decided to restart this brand. And so he's created what's considered the Kansas City whiskey. It's not quite, a pure whiskey, and it's not quite a bourbon of sorts, though I will say it's fairly sweet and very smooth. And this is kind of the new style, at least, and it's absolutely wonderful. I know Kansas City folks have been raving on this stuff, and I absolutely love it. It's great to mix. It's great to take straight. Very smooth. So, for my show and tell, the Rieger whiskey, you can get it all around Kansas City, Cellar Rat and Gomer's and that sort of thing. It's about, $35 a bottle or so, but it is perfectly worth it.
Chad, are you drinking anything over there?
So I might be drinking something. I didn't exactly come prepared for that.
We threw it out last minute, but to be fair, you delayed our show, so I don't care.
But no, actually, it's on my door. It looks pretty sexy, which obviously you can't tell with my shitty equipment. This little guy here. It's kind of round. It actually sticks out a fair amount. I would say it's about 2 inches out from the door, which kind of looks notable, but it's got a pretty sleek design. And one of the reasons I picked this, so there's a lot of smart locks out there, and there are some of them that I feel like may have more features. But one of the reasons I picked it is because I am a tenant of an apartment complex that would probably frown on me switching out my locks. Their keys would no longer work. Their maintenance staff could no longer come in. One of the benefits of the August Smart Lock is that you can actually retrofit it to existing hardware. So it was really as simple as taking off the back plate. I can show you the front. So the front is just a standard keyhole. I haven't actually changed any of the hardware in the front, but the back is now a mounting plate.
It is very neat. It's very neat.
I think that's it. That's totally it. If you're watching the show, definitely make sure you like us on Facebook, Blown Pixel, as well as our YouTube channel. Google Plus, Twitter, those all social channels actually exist, unlike our website.
I don't know.
That is to be... No, that's not you. I'm just saying that out loud because it's us. And anyway.
Someday we'll have a website, I promise.
Someday. So anyway, yeah, that's it for episode 3 of Blown Pixel. Thanks for watching.
Please hang up and try again.